Welcome back to the virtual hangar. Today I'm going to show you how to do this personalized MacraME project. Yes, I'm very proud of the title. Your kit will include 10 feet of 14 gauge steel wire, about 27 yards of 3mm cotton cord, and 1 pair of needle nose pliers or jewelry pliers. Any small pliers would work. We're going to start from the middle of our cotton ball here. We're going to measure out about 10 feet of cord. You can do that either with a measuring tape or by just kind of matching how many coils of wire you have. We are going to use this cord to spell out your own name before we go ahead and start bending the wire. So when you get that 10-foot mark, go ahead and just tie a little loose knot so you know how long cord you have to work with. And then we're going to take that length of cord, keeping an eye on our knot, put the rest to the side, start at one end and write your own name in cursive with the cord. You can do that however, you don't have to write your name. You could write whatever you like. I'm writing Placentia, obviously, instead of my own name because this is the Placentia library. But doing this process will help you see how to, it gives you kind of a roadmap of this is how I'm going to bend the cord. When I get to the end here, I can see I didn't quite make it. That means I won't have enough wire if I do it just like this. So I'm kind of just going to scoot everything along, make all the letters just slightly smaller so that I make sure that I have enough wire to actually get through spelling my name. I chose Placentia. It's a nice long word, so there should definitely be enough wire for everything. For scale here, this is about 21 inches long, and the letters are about 6 inches high. So if your name is longer, you might want to go a little smaller than that. If your name is shorter, you want to go a little shorter. Try a nickname. Pick whatever word you want. We are going to start bending our wire. You want to leave, you can use your pliers to try and straighten out the end there if it's maybe a little funky from getting wrapped around. But go ahead and use the cord to match the proportions. And basically, you're going to make the word you spelled out of cord with the wire. To bend the wire, grip it with the pliers and just rotate your wrist. You can also, the wire's pretty flexible, so you can bend it with your hands. I'm going to approach these letters in chunks because obviously you're not going to spell Placentia, you're going to spell your own name. For this first group, these letters are pretty straightforward. It's just twists and turns, right? There's no sort of connection. You just follow the cursive path of the letter. This next one, you obviously with your pencil would go to the end of like the C and then cover it again. So when you do that, you are going to want to bend straight and just double your wire up just like this. You can take your pliers and kind of pinch the end together. It doesn't have to be too tight because you will need to leave that a little bit open when we go to do the actual knot tying at the end. And then curl the doubled wire over to finish your letter. There shouldn't ever be a time when you need to do like triple wire. It really should just be single. These letters are all going to be the same as well in this next group. So we're going to do the same kind of thing we did with the C group, which is bend to the point where like your pencil would go and come back. Make a nice little loop there. But again, it doesn't have to be too tight because you are going to end up using it when you get there with the macrame part. When you get to the point where your pencil would hit a line you have already made so that it's going to re-intersect, right? We are actually going to take this wire and kind of open that back up again. And anytime the wire would cross through one of those loops you've made, you can see I did it there on the capital P as well. You're going to want to open that up and cross the wire inside of it. I know, it's a little tricky. This is definitely like a big muscle project, but it turns out so cool and they're really cute when you're finished. So you can take your pliers, kind of make them join like that, and then close the pinched part again over it. And then you are going to bend the wire down and around to double it to finish off the letter. So just imagine if you are like writing it in cursive, you're just, instead of pencil, you're using the wire. It's a little complicated, but I am also going to have at the end of this video the guide to show you how I made all the letters so that you can figure out how to do it without ever cutting the wire. It should all just be one continuous piece. And you can see that pretty much all of the capital letters will include this same like crossing over section of that same group. So 2 trickiest letters, we got the T and the X. We are going to bend up and then bend at the join, right? The middle section, the intersection. Almost like, about an inch down. You're going to take your plier, go over about an inch, depending on the measurements, how big of letters you're making. Bend it back over to make the loop. Cross it over. Make that loop a little bit tighter. There we go. And then we are going to back over the center. When we make the other side, this is now the 3rd point in the middle here, right? We're going to close that loop and then take the end of the wire and just make sure it crosses here and then around to the back. So the idea, again, is to keep the wire in one continuous piece. You don't want to have to cut the wire. It's a big pain. And kind of use its own length to secure itself to the letters. We're going to move and then go down and finish the rest of the letters. So the last complicated group of letters is, of course, I and J. So here's how we do the I. The good news is I had most of the complicated letters in Placentia. You just go ahead and, go up the upstroke of the I, curve a little bit to the right. We're going to make a nice loop with the wire to make the dot of the I. Yeah, technically, there's not the little space where it floats above the I, but this is really, I feel like the knots that you end up using, the effect is not lost of having the dot above the I. So I just make sure those 2 points cross well. I don't worry about twisting them extra, but I do just twist them like they should intersect, right? So then we'll swoop down the T and keep on going. When you are finished spelling your word, wherever you would end the wire, go ahead and go like an inch or 2 past that, because you'll need that to secure the cord at the end. Give it a good squeeze with the cutter part in the middle of your pliers and twist it back and forth until the wire breaks. And there is my word. You can adjust it a little bit, the bend of it and how close the letters are when you're done. If you end up running out of wire, it's the same consistency as coat hanger. I've used the same kind of wire, so you can always do that if something happens. Go ahead and untie that knot you made, and then we are going to find the middle of our cotton cord. Grab the 2 loose ends, and then just fold it and pull the cord through your hands until you find the center. And then go ahead and cut it. So really what we need is 2 equal lengths of rope. We are then going to find the middle of both of those and tie them on to our wire. Take one of them, find the middle, and tie it just like the first step of a shoelace. And then we are going to find the middle of the other one and cross it right through the center as well as over the wire. Tie it tight, just like your shoe. Ready? And then go ahead and pinch it with the wire and fold that extra inch you made at the beginning over the cord and just squeeze it tight to secure it. Believe it or not, the hard part is over. Let's learn the knots now that we have our cord attached, and then we will go ahead and do our macrame. So we're going to take the right cord, go under, make a sort of 4 shape, take the left cord, and then go over the top of the whole bunch. You want to make sure you get the extra cord with the wire. To finish the square knot, then we take the right side and go over, make that 4 shape, and then the left side and go under. And you just go back and forth like that. So right side under, you can do the left side first if you want, and then right side over. Now I colored my cord so that you would be able to see a little bit easier what I'm doing. So if you need to, feel free to pause, rewind, go back, pause again until you get the hang of it. But I am also going to show you that when you switch it up, you still make the same knot if you do the left side first and then the right side. So you can use that to your advantage if you feel like one end of your cord is getting longer or shorter. The second knot we're going to do, I swear I tried to find the name of it, I just couldn't. So I call it the Instagram knot because I've seen it in 1,000 Instagram posts. And I also call it the and knot because to me it looks like an ampersand. So I did the first one real slow there. I am going to describe it this time. We are going to take that right cord, kind of make a loop, cross it in front, cross the blue cord, left cord, over the top of it, and then around the back, go through the loop to the front that you made. You can see you can kind of adjust the tension as you go. That's part of like the art of macrame. And then let's get to it. I'm going to start with the first group of letters. These are a little bit different. Anywhere the wire crosses under itself, if you are doing the ampersand knot, the narrow one, you can see I actually go under the wire. I don't go over it with both cords. When you get to the thick side of this letter, I switch to the square knot, and you can see how I take the two cords I was working with to do the ampersand knot and then put them to the center, and then you just switch right over. You don't have to do any special sort of tying or anything. Just go ahead and pick up the other two cords and start going. When you get down to the intersection there, we are going to again take those center cords we were using and go around the back of the bit that you've already done. So if the wire crosses itself and you've already macrameed over that part of the wire, take your non-working cords, go around the back, and then do your square knot right over the top. So that kind of lashes the two wires together, and that's what keeps it connected as one solid piece. And then you kind of just adjust the tension in your square knots and, technical term, fiddle with it until they look a little bit more regular, because obviously there's going to be kind of a weird spot, but you can see how that's connected there. And then go ahead and square knot on through till the end. The next group is pretty much going to be the same all the way through. If you have one of these ones where you've doubled the wire, you don't want to quadruple the cord. So leave your non-working cord there at the bottom, and then we're going to take our working cord, the one we're going to use to make the knot, and kind of tie like the first step of the square knot with one, just around like that in a 4, and grab the other loose working cord under it to just kind of connect them and anchor them to the top. It doesn't have to be super tight. Don't worry about it scooching down, because then you're going to turn and start doing your knots, and they are going to just kind of scooch up to the end naturally. So it'll be okay. Don't worry. Just make sure you leave enough slack here so that the cord isn't so tight that it's not sticking to the body of the wire. You don't want to have like a weirdly flat curve on one of these letters. So just leave enough loose there that you can smoosh the knots up to the top as you go. So if you remember all the way back to our very first video, our intro to brush lettering, normally on the downstroke I would do a thick stroke, on the upstroke you would do the thin stroke. That's kind of how you get that brush lettering look. I did kind of try and do that with the knots. The ampersand knot has kind of a slimmer profile, and the square knot is so thick I just thought it would be too bulky. So I do only the square knot on one of the thick strokes. You can see here how at the intersection I'm continuing my ampersand. I just am being sure to include both, instead of going through where the two wires are, I just go over where one wire is, and I just make sure to grab that non-working cord again, and then continue on with my ampersand knot. Now here at the top of the stalk, I switch cords, so we do kind of the same thing we did at the beginning. Go ahead and take that non-working cord. We're going to make that our working cord. Take those two down, get them out of the way, the ones we were working with, and then we're going to do the same thing we did at the kind of original loop. Here at the intersection, we are going to take one and kind of tie a loose sort of knot and catch both, just like that. You can see a little just kind of holding knot at the top, And then that's going to be our working yarn, and we're going to do our square knot there. If we take the cord all the way up to the top, all 4 of them, and then come back down, it's just going to be so thick. So that's why I leave the one at the bottom and do this anchor thing. Because we don't want to cut the cord either. We want the wire and the cord to be one continuous piece. So I do my square knot all the way down and do the same thing we sort of did at the intersection on the L when the wire crossed over itself. We are going to kind of adjust the tension of our square knots to make this look more regular. When we get to the intersection, kind of the elbow there, we are going to tie a square knot, grab the uncovered wire and the non-working yarn, and then continue right on. Kind of using the same method on most of the capital letters, but it's a little more forgiving here to do a chunkier one because it's the beginning of your name. So you can go all the way down with all 4 chords, and you can see how much more wide this square knot is when you have that additional cord, when you take the whole thing down and then go back up. I will show at the end of this video kind of like a slideshow of the paths of all the letters, so you can see how I would do them. If you need additional help, please feel free to email us at hangar@placentialibrary.org, and I would be so happy to show you how to do your name specifically. Or you can come into the Hangar anytime we're open. You can see here how once I got to the kind of downstroke of the letter, I switched to the slimmer profile knot, and that's going to be pretty much the same again for all the capital letters, but it's all up to you. However you like to do it, it's your art project. So if you want to use different knots, you want it to be thick all the way through, you want it to be skinny all the way through, please feel free. As always, I love when people take the Take and Make projects and make them their own and do their own spin on them. I think that's the coolest part of doing these. Okay, so here the elbow of the T is not quite as defined as like the elbow of the A. This is the same way you do the X though. So I take one of the working chords, kind of go back around the intersection and then through one of the loops of the arms and do again that sort of like holding knot here. There it is. And then I'm going to do just the same on the other side. If you have to open the little loop because you did it too tight, I always do, with your pliers, go ahead and do that. Kind of anchor the end of that cord onto the other arm. So you have one of each cord onto each of the 2 arms. We are going to take those cords and do just the first knot of the square knot. Make that 4 and stick the end through. If you've ever made any sort of lanyard, this is the classic spiral knot. I just thought it had a slimmer profile so it wouldn't be as like chunky on the cross of the T. And you can kind of spiral it as it goes around. You just do the same number 4 all the way around. Switch over to the other arm of the T. Do the exact same thing till you get to the center, where all 3 arms kind of intersect. We're going to go around here and do our spiral. It's hard to see because of the fast motion and because it's all the same color, but you are still keeping your non-working yarn down at the bottom. You're not crossing it. And then we're going to take our cord and anchor it at the top of the X or the T. Go ahead here and tie that kind of anchor knot and then go ahead and just square knot all the way down, baby. We're going to go all the way through. When you get to the middle section where all 2 lines or 4 lines, I guess it kind of depends how you look at it, intersect, it will be a little bit chunkier, but you should just adjust your tension to make the knots look regular. You can see again I'm doing the very technical fiddling to make it look more like the standard square knot pattern. You should by now, by the time you get to a T, hopefully you will have a normal sort of tension in the way your knots look, so you can kind of adjust it by squishing it, pulling it, not pulling it as tight, and then I just keep that square knot going all the way down to the bottom here. When we get to the junction, again, the little kickstand where you go on to the next cursive letter, I actually this time am going to switch right ahead to the ampersand and grab my working yarn. I always pull to the back because you don't want to see like loose unknotted yarn in your finished cord in your unfinished macrame project. So that keeps everything nice and together and neat looking. Last one, here we go. We're going to do the eyes. I am going to do that same anchoring, pull my non-working cord to the end. Take both cords at once and do that little anchor knot at the base of the eye, and then that spiral knot it's sort of the same kind of knot. So you make a loop, pull both ends of the cord tight, and just do that all the way around. I kept it nice and loose, and I was able to keep all of the kind of archway part of that knot all on the outside of the eye, which I thought looked really nice. And then when you get to the bottom of the loop, you just pull your two cords apart, make a square knot, and then go all the way down. If you have, again, any trouble, I am so happy to help you. When you get to the end of your name or word, can you believe we made it? The non-working yarn, you don't want to cut straight across, but I like to taper mine because then I'm not worrying about 3 loose ends at the end. I'm only worrying about the one. So I do these in sort of a stagger cut, like a nice layered haircut, so that when you are doing these final knots of the last swoop of your cursive letter to cover them, it has a nice like tapering effect instead of just like cutting off right away, where it would be like chunky knots and then very narrow knots. But you can see, just try and keep all of the like raw edges of the cord contained within the knots. You will maybe have to fight it a little bit, but hopefully not that much. Adjust the tension, be careful as you go, and then keep on going. So you can see that even though I had 2 loose cords in the knots earlier in the letter, as I have no loose cords here, just the 2 I'm working with, it doesn't lose that much of the thickness, so it looks more regular. So when you get to the end, you've got about 1 inch or so of wire left. We're going to do this kind of like loop knot. Maybe if you've made like friendship bracelets, you would know how to do this. You could use a straw. I've seen people do that too, or a finger is how I do it. But you're basically making a tunnel out of the cord. I do it 4 or 5 times. You can see how you stick your finger. Yep, there we go. You're going to take then the working end of your cord here and go through that tunnel. We're going to take the end, and if it's probably a little rough by now, but that's okay. We're almost done. Pull it through the tunnel and then work it with your hand, just like that. So we're around the wire. We've got the raw one there. We'll go a little closer. The non-working one is sticking out now. And then you will just tighten it all the way around until that cord kind of tightens itself. Cut the other cord quite close to the knot, and then finish tightening that knot so that it covers that one cut edge. So really the only cut edge of the cord that you'll see on the end is this one, and hopefully you will twist and work it so that it's to the back of the work. You've got a little like 1/2 inch or so of wire left here. Just twist it right over, smush it down, pinch and grip and squeeze it until that secures that cord nice and tight. If you made it this far, I am so proud of you. Stick around for the end of the video so that you can look at the individual paths for each letter if you need them, or freestyle, baby. As always, I would love to see what you make. Please reach out to us on social media, and I will see you next time.